Prior to taking on this project, I wasn't completely sure that I could do it myself. I decided to share this video as I couldn't find a good video detailing everything that I needed to do from start to finish, including the removal of an existing furnace, converting a new furnace to propane, and details on installing the replacement furnace, a furnace that is a different size or maybe from a different manufacturer, but at the same time using a pre-existing chimney hole. I'm going to cover everything from start to finish in this video. I purchased this furnace from Princess Auto. It's an 80,000 BTU natural gas unit that was on sale for $6.99. Converting from natural gas to propane. The Heatstar furnace sold at Princess Auto comes from the factory set up to burn natural gas. However, included in the purchase is a natural gas to propane conversion kit. The conversion is easy and straightforward. I chose to do the conversion first before I installed the unit. It can be done later, after installation if you choose, as everything is completely accessible through the side access panel. First, there are 4 small screws to the side panel. This single panel gives you access to do almost all maintenance or repairs on the furnace. Then remove the 4 screws that hold the manifold on the burner box and rotate the valves away from the burners. The valve manifold assembly holds the 5 orifices that need to be swapped out. By swinging the whole unit towards you, it also gives you easy access to the adjustment spring in the valve regulator. Sorry about the focus here, wasn't paying attention to the camera. I decided to keep this in as you can clearly see what I'm trying to do. The metal part here is the adjustment screw cap. Unlike the directions suggest, I didn't discard this part, I reused it. It was better quality than the one that came with the conversion kit. Here you can clearly see the regulator adjustment screw. Take note to how far down inside the opening it is. It's a long way down. Later, when you accidentally cross-thread this plug when trying to reinstall it, you will remember this and know that it is cross-threaded and needs to be seated well within the hole. Now we're pulling the spring out. Here are the parts of the conversion kit that come with the furnace. You can see I'm examining the differences between what I removed and what I'll be installing shortly. I have to be honest, the only thing I could tell that was different was the spring. One was stronger than the other. The other 2 parts looked identical. Here I'm dropping in the new spring. Incidentally, I ended up tilting the valve assembly back vertical for the threading in the regulator adjustment screw. This tiny plastic piece is super easy to cross-thread. I found by tilting the assembly back upright, it made it easier to thread the plug in smoothly. You need to turn the adjustment screw clockwise in until it comes to a stop. It goes a long way down and comes to a firm stop. Then, to set it for propane, you turn it out counterclockwise or back 1.5 turns. Half. That should do it. The last thing you have to do is install the conversion label that came with the kit. So believe it or not, the hard stuff is done. All that is left is a quick swap out of the 5 orifices. Super easy. I chose to apply just a little bit of gas thread compound. This isn't listed or suggested in the directions, but the service technician on the phone said, sure, won't hurt anything. Come on in.
How's my favorite way?
Come on in.
How's my favorite way?
How are you doing?
Swing number 1. Not good. I thought the heater would be up.
No, you're faster than I am.
No, I'm not. Oh my God, but you're all set up here.
I got the other one down, didn't kill myself.
No, looks like you did a good job. You're set for the new one. Where's the new one?
Right here.
Where? Oh, you're working on it. I thought you were working on the new air. Good for you.
In this close-up, you can see the differences in the size of the orifices for natural gas versus propane. Come on in! Hey!
Doesn't work.
It did not work.
No.
What happened?
There's no power going from the battery to the electrical system. So he's in the process now of disconnecting the battery contactor. And he's going to go just bypass it.
So it's not a...
It's like his master's on all the time.
Okay. Is he going to end up hand propping it or what?
He hasn't suggested hand propping. He's going to bypass it, which should...
So that completes the natural gas to propane conversion. It's really very easy. Now we just button everything up. So I'm done with the conversion, so I figured I would install the propane pipe fittings off the old furnace. I just need to remove the one pipe and I can install a new one. Well, the factory installs these very tightly. As I was trying to loosen it, I was watching the entire case flex slightly. So quickly I moved to a plan B. I'm going to leave the pipe in place and add a coupling to connect the existing infrastructure.
Every day they are losing hope. They do not have that money to help the economy. The economy does no cooling. People become more discontented. There are no challenges to the government. We'll wait and see what leads to a successful Thanks very much for your time today. Thank you.
Here I'm installing the mounting brackets. furnace was supported by 2 threaded rods into a chunk of iron on top of rafters. Initially, I wasn't going to share this, but this is how we learn. This was really a half-baked plan. I was trying to figure out how to lower the unit, and the plan was to use my block and tackle. Well, I couldn't find the block and tackle, so I figured, well, let's use 4 ratchet straps. Well, clearly I didn't think this through.
Okay, I want to be further away from it.
Ratchet straps are great for tightening, not so good for loosening. This could have turned out way worse than it did.
It's off.
As it turned out, after I realized this was really a stupid and dangerous way of doing it, I paused, waited a day to borrow a block and tackle, and then completed the job safely.
The problem with this scenario is it's not an endless thing here. There'll be a point where that lets go, like that.
The ripping sound you're hearing is the straps pulling against the vapor barrier. Lessons learned: remove the vapor barrier. Attach a block and tackle well above the unit and save yourself a great deal of grief and anxiety.
Oh.
Before tackling this project, I was very much of the mindset that it would be a simple swap, swapping from one furnace to another. Everything is there. Use the same propane line, same chimney, away you go. As you dig into this, you find everything installed needs to be removed. Codes have changed. The existing chimney no longer meets code. The furnace is smaller, needs a different supports and different clearance limits. Additionally, unlike a new install, you already have a hole in the ceiling that you need to line up with. Thinking about this, I realized I'm going to have to make a template. First, to find out where the new 4-inch chimney resides in relation to the new furnace, and then to use the existing 6-inch chimney as a swivel point for the template to accurately mark the location of the new furnace. For this reason, I didn't remove the old chimney until I had my mounting locations for the new furnace.
In your book, the difference between using our devices in a way that amplifies our humanity and a way that diminishes it usually comes down to who's doing the driving.
Okay, Lynn,
There's been a
where...
lot of research on phone use. All phone use is not created equal, right? There are
This is
ways
the
in
front.
which our
You just
phones
have to
do work
decide
for us and make
where you
our
want
lives
pointing.
easier.
I'm thinking...
And there are ways in which they corrupt
There?
our lives and our choices and make
Something
us
like that?
less human. One
What do you think?
example from my own life is
Yeah, put a nail in and
you
see
can
what we
sort of
think.
create those auto-generated replies that say like, yes, I can make that time, or no, I can't make that time, and you just press the button and the AI sort of...
With the mounting marks transferred to the ceiling, I can remove the template.
And this is very important for us to see how the society was. And we see now the...
Here you can see I'm transferring the location of the holes for the mounting bracket off the furnace. Much easier doing this now than when the furnace is in the way. Time to remove the chimney. This, of course, can be done with a ladder, but if you have a good friend that will lend you his man lift for a bottle of rum, wow, does it make the job easy. Definitely the right tool for the job. Initially, I used just a few wood screws just to hold the 2x6 in place. I'm now installing a few lag bolts.
This follows a cyber attack earlier this month. The beer maker says its operations in some parts of Canada...
That's climbing. That's lifting. Okay, I'm gonna go
I'm
up.
afraid so.
I can't go up. This thing's in the way. I'll have to get it off the ground first. I could go up here.
Look that way.
Yeah.
Just don't hit yourself in that electrical outlet that's hanging above your head.
Yeah.
Try not to stick your tongue in there.
Okay.
You want to pull that up and I'll kind of ease it down.
Is this it here? Is this the up or that? That's the down. That's down.
Right.
Okay, stand by.
And it's about people
Standing by.
going to meetings that I'm having, of course noting everything that I'm saying and doing, and doing an assessment that I'm posing.
I'm tying a knot here is what I'm doing.
Again, this is not going to work. Okay, it's off the table now. Just letting you know.
Years ago,
It really? Is it lifted?
about my public comments about me
It's free.
making
Okay.
Canada,
Is that up or down?
It's going up.
Okay, I need to keep this chain off of the thing, right?
Yeah, that'd be good.
last year, the
You need to keep it away from appendages too. Just saying.
But Dawn, I think we're actually going to get it.
Yeah. 2020.
during that same period of time, there were two, I believe, homicides associated with Islamic-inspired extremism. So
I'm going to go put
in
a
terms of
couple nuts on there.
This piece of metal that you see me placing on the chimney is a fire block. I'll need it a little later.
Exhibit for you. What is something that people need to see?
I'll tell you, the template worked. The chimney is perfectly level right in the center of the 6-inch opening.
So I'm going to be tarring the shit out of this. I'll tell you that.
I wanted to provide a close-up of how the propane line connects. I'm sharing this as I didn't have a clue when I took it apart. Unknowingly, when I disconnected the fitting from the old furnace, I dropped the 2 split rings that are needed to secure the fitting nut to the fitting. Although my hand visually covers a great deal of this connection, if you watch closely, you will see how the split rings are inserted into the first corrugation next to the tube cut. After you do this, you slide the nut forward to trap the rings. It's also important to note that you do not use any thread sealants for this connection. Sealants are to be used on pipe threads only. When tightening, the torque value for this size pipe is around 45 foot-pounds. If this is a new installation and you're working with a fresh cut pipe, you would tighten the nut and adapter as though you were making up a flared tubing join. You would then note the relation between the two hex flats and continue to tighten for 2 additional hex flats, which is about 1/3 turn. This will obtain the required torque and the final leak-tight seal. Here I'm connecting the required ground line, connecting the furnace to the fuse box. This is needed for code.
Oh, that's better. Oh, this couldn't be much more difficult.
The thermostat connections are very difficult to reach. They are behind the chimney and the propane line.
Come on, get underneath there. I don't know if I'm in there or not.
And beside the electrical connections.
Stay. Where's my finger? Where am I? Come on. Nope, wrong one. Okay. Come on. Okay. I think that's connected. Well, I'm real close to finishing this job. I've just reapplied the vapor barrier and the insulation. And you can see here what we're dealing with. This is the firebox. I'll show you the underside of that in a minute. This is the ground. By code, this has to go right back to the fuse box. You can see the propane hookup here in the shutoff. I'm not overly impressed with the distance between the propane line and the chimney, but that's how they designed it. So just to make sure it doesn't touch, I've tied it off right here, and of course I've tied off the ground line as well. Behind that right here is your power connection. Very simple, 2 connections, your alternating current, those 2 wires, and your ground. And really inconveniently, behind that, you can see it right there, is your CWGR. I'm going from memory now. I think C is if you just want to run the fan, continuous. G, I can't remember, and WR are the 2 that I'm using, which is essentially just goes to the thermostat. So, thermostat connection, power connection, ground connection to the fuse box to meet code, chimney, propane, and I've tucked everything up just above the sliding door rail. And here you can see the clearances around for the firebox. I think it's called a firewall, actually. Let's let her run.
The big difference is that there were some people in the room drawing the line. You know, there was some regulation to be like, I mean, at least there was something.
Well, I don't think that's leaking.
And it's like, unfortunately, human beings, like, there are not people with great impulses out there. And if you tell
All right,
people,
here goes nothing. Here's what it sounds like starting up. Burners are working great. Got a couple louvers I need to adjust. Wow, is it ever quiet? Okay, I'm a fan.